You came over from Scotland. You sailed over, didn't you?
Yes, and by ship.
Yeah.
There had no airplanes in those days. We had to come by ship, and that was why when my father was asked to come over to America, that it was just the time the Titanic was being launched. And my father thought it would be so nice to come on the maiden voyage of the Titanic. So he had tried to get passage, but they were all booked up.
Jeez.
And so we had to come the next week. And we got the next ship, which was the next week, and of course it was just a week after the Titanic went down. Was it entered into the 3rd grade? I was 2 years in school in Scotland, and we went to school when we were 5. So I was a class ahead of I was 7, and the other people were 8 because they didn't go to school till they were 6 years of age. And then I was in Baldwin for 10 years until I graduated in 22. My best course was physical ed. I didn't like studying. I'm not a student, but I managed to get through all right as far as the subjects were concerned. And the physical ed person thought my sister and I, she was a class ahead of me, and that we should go to physical ed school since we were specialists in that field. When I was my last year at Baldwin, I had to have my appendix taken out and got in the hospital. And I said, this is where I really belong. I wanted to be a nursing, and I enjoyed my time in the hospital with appendicitis. And so I switched and went to New York, so nursing school in Presbyterian in New York. And I stayed in nursing till I finished.
How about, what was your favorite academic class, like math or science?
Latin, we all had to take Latin, and the Latin teacher, I got mad at her one day, and it was quite interesting. She would call on me for questions all the time. She contradicted one of the students when she made it. And I turned to the students, I was mad at her. I said, she didn't mean anything. I said it to the roommate. And the teacher looked at me, she said, I didn't hear what you said. I said, I wasn't talking to you. Just in that tone. and shut her up. And then before I left school to come home, I thought, now that was awful. I've got to apologize. That is no way to talk to your teacher.
What was it like to be in an all-girls school at that time? Was it a good thing or a bad thing?
No, the interesting thing is that there's some of the directors, 2 of them were married that were heads now. And both these heads had boys, 2 boys, each of them. And they did not want to join up with the boys' school. And they said, and I think this is quite true, that the girls in high school age, if there's the boys in the school, they get more interested in the boys than they do in their education. And that when the boys are not in the classroom, and they concentrate and have more interest in developing their knowledge and what they do. Now, they had two boys, and they did not want the girls mixed in. The boys do better being alone during high school. Now, when you get to college, that's different. But in the high school age, I was interested in this remark that they made in relation to it, because they didn't feel that the girls worked to their highest degree. And we now know that the women are just as good as the men. Some of them are better. I don't know whether you feel that way or not.
I think so. I think it's a lot better to have all girls.
I wouldn't want to have boys in my classes.
Were there class colors when you were at Baldwin?
Was
No.
what?
Class colors?
I was a purple class. I was purple. Yeah, they started the colors while I was there. You know, they have the athletic white coats.
Yeah.
They still have.
The
Well,
white
The
blazer.
white
Yeah, white
blazer.
blazer.
They started it in my senior year,
Oh.
and I got one of the.
Really?
But they didn't give us white coats that day. All they gave us was the blue letter B.
Oh.
And I never did get the white coat I got there.
What do you think was the most important thing you learned when you were at Baldwin that you carried for the rest of your life?
Well, I think the one thing was working with people. I mean, I've never been critical, if you know what I mean, of trying. You know, some people are very critical of some others. I've always been looking, how do you get along with people? What do you do to help people get along? I mean, that has been my interest, all the way along, is working with other people and what can you do to help them feel that same way. Whereas other people, you may have friends that criticize everything, don't see the good on what a person can do. Why do they have this kind of an attitude? And I've never been that way, and I think I've always looked at it on the other side of what can you do to help to work with the people doing them.
And Baldwin helped that.
Yeah, that
helped you
helped.
develop that.
That helped me. Get in there because my whole time that I was a student, it was with other people. Thinking of other people. And what can I do?